Oh, this feels so good. What's going on, everyone? I got the Jeep back finally. And of course, as you can imagine, what's the first thing I'm doing? I'm gonna go hit some trails. So right now, I'm in a local West Michigan spot that, ironically enough, when I got into the accident on Father's Day, we were on our way to this spot because I had done this trail in my Ram. And ironically enough, this was the one that I also ended up taking my wife's Wrangler through. That kind of kick-started the whole thing to get a Jeep of my own. So yeah, kind of a neat little spot here that I really have been wanting to come back to. Never got the chance to take this thing on this trail, so it's not hard. It's just scenic, kind of pretty, as a lot of things here are in Michigan, but figured I would bring you guys along. I also wanted to talk about some of the upcoming plans for this year, because being very busy this whole spring has really kind of killed my adventures, and then obviously with not having the Jeep for the last 2 months has kind of puts a dent in it. So this fall/winter should be pretty packed full of fun. So this area has a lot of like different spots that are blocked off. I know there are some like dirt bike and bike, mountain bike, whatever, trails in the same area. So I know a lot of it has to do with that. But the couple times that I've been down this trail, I have noticed a lot of like really cool looking, what could be camp spots, but for whatever reason they are blocked off. I can only assume that it was because of trail misuse. I know what I refer to as my stomping grounds, a little bit more north of where we are. There's been a pretty decent amount of spots closed off because of people misusing them and tearing up the area and leaving trash is the big one everywhere. So the DNR has closed off a couple spots there, but not everybody's responsible. So with that being said, please tread lightly. I know a lot of people preach that quite a bit on YouTube here, but like that's by not treading lightly. That's how we get things closed down. So let's try to avoid that, shall we? One thing too that I want to do today is play around with like the lockers, the sway bar disconnect, all that fun stuff to make sure everything's still working. There was a little bit of concern with the sway bar disconnect, but they messed around with the dealership, didn't have any issues, and I did mess with it a little bit when I got home, flexing up on some stuff, and didn't have an issue with it. So hopefully today I don't have any issues, because we're gonna get a little flexy later on. Impact really wasn't that bad. It was bad enough to where the airbags went off, but I mean, I still think that the crash was very minuscule. And again, just thankful that Ivory didn't get hurt, because we had her with me and Caitlin's fine and all of that. So I just kind of want to play around, and hopefully we don't have any kind of issues in the future mechanically. So one thing I've kind of been debating a bunch is what kind of like mapping software I want to use. I started off using Gaia for probably like first 2 years of like doing this, and then with Onyx I just wanted to kind of try something new, and getting into real estate and all that, it was nice how you could like see some different like who owns what and things like that. But also for hunting it was nice, that way if you did have to call like other landowners, that worked out fine. And I thought that I could supplement that with, instead of having Onyx Hunt, that's another big one in the hunting world, which like my dad and my friend, a couple of my buddies have, and use that and like it quite a bit. So this year I think I'm going to go back to Onyx off-road, because I did kind of go, I was still using Gaia primarily this at least like springtime of this year. So what I'm gonna do is go back to Onyx, so that way I can have like that software plus Onyx Hunt. And I think it kind of makes sense to have both of those, that way you're used to the same software and little things that the app has and all that jazz. I do really like both softwares. I don't really have anything negative to say about either of them, but I think Onyx just looks more aesthetically pleasing to my big rock head. Probably the only good thing that came out of the crash is I got a new stubby bumper out of it, so I mean that's kind of cool. Now my buddy Jeremy with New Holland Overland is still working on developing one for this cool like hybrid style. So this is only going to be a temporary thing until I end up getting that one. But at least now I'll be able to like mount a winch. This bumper has like the factory fogs, which whatever, is fine for now. On the loop, which I'm a big proponent of protecting the front end of your vehicle. And I think the crash can even kind of make that more relevant. So I might add a couple lights, I don't know. I have already gotten a couple of Heretic lights for the topper build and the bumper build for Jeremy to do, but obviously I'll end up having a little bit more scene light type style, and ditch lights, things like that. Most important thing is we got to get a winch on the vehicle, and the one that's really kind of popping out to me is the Overland Vehicle Systems Scar winch. I think that would be a really cool one to have and try out, so I think that's the route we're going to go. One thing I always do when I'm out riding trails is, no matter the time of day, is I turn my headlights on, and fog lights if I have them, you know, just some kind of lights, just because you never know who else is gonna be out here. You know, maybe they're gonna be whipping down the trails and not really be able to see you until they are right up on you. So having your lights on, I think, is a good way to kind of hopefully avoid any kind of trail accidents. So this spot Joey and I had been to back in his Jeep, which is a pretty sweet little campsite, and it's actually right next to a creek, which, I don't know, you might be able to squeeze a vehicle down there, but there's really not a ton of room. But up here you got plenty of room for ground tents, couple rigs. There's also some additional spots back there, but kind of well established. I mean, nice little fire ring and some wood. Looks like somebody's got a line up for a hammock or drying clothes or whatever. So that little section I discovered this spring, and there's been quite a few days where we've gotten some pretty heavy rain for long periods of time. and definitely over the last 24 hours it rained quite a bit, and that is way worse than it was this springtime, even like after snow melt and everything. There's definitely, if you don't have some bigger tires, and I was a little worried I'd get caught on like the undercarriage on the belly of the Gladiator just because of how long the wheelbase is. So I'm definitely glad to be back in the Jeep. I was kind of worried that with having a part on back order constantly, that I was going to be really in trouble for core, which in reality is like not even a month away, maybe. Still going to do an enclosed topper, kind of like how I did in the Ram. But for now, I figured, hey, it was like $100 more than like just 2 little crossbars. So at least I'd be able to mount like the Auctiontrax and stuff like that. So shovel, all those fun things people love to strap to their vehicles. And then in October, we do have Overlay in the Red, so that will be a fun test of the Jeep, doing some off-roading and things like that. I did unfortunately miss both of these events last year, so I'm super stoked to be going to both of them this year and not letting that get in the way. Also, right before, I want to say it's the week before Overlay in the Red, me and my buddy Greg are actually going to be going to Drummond Island, so I've always wanted to go up there ever since I learned what it was, and being in my home state of Michigan, I feel like that's like kind of one of those iconic places you just got to go to. So I'm super stoked for that, and I have full intentions of doing hopefully all the trails, but definitely Marblehead, and which would be kind of cool because, I mean, you know, the whole Jeep badge honor thing, I think it'd be cool to get my first one, have that be my first one in the home state. So I know the only other one in Michigan is at Holly Oaks, which is an off-road park, so never been there, so I don't know, you know, if you want to count that one or not or what. So tons of fun stuff coming this fall and winter time, and things are only going to get better from here. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't, hit the little bell notification, get notified when I post videos every Sunday. Give this video a thumbs up if you're excited for all the new fun content. I know I sure am. And until then, we'll catch you guys in the next one.